Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Denver, Colorado. And today I have my paper pumpkin alternatives for you. These are the June paper pumpkins. I'm just getting it a little late here. And so let's just get started. Okay, this is the paper pumpkin for June. It's called A Little Smile. And the idea this time is to have a little pouch that they provide here. This little pouch here, little plastic pouch, and you can see the theme here is the ocean. There's a sand dollar and some coral here and starfish. And this kit is intended to make a total of 16 cards for each of 4 different designs. And the thing is, on these cards are actually very small, and they're intended to be cards that you carry with you and give out spontaneously. So I'm going to grab a couple of the card fronts here so I can show you the size that they're intended to be. This is the little envelope that comes either in the Old Olive, I think it's Old Olive, or the Coastal Cabana. And the cards themselves, like I said, are intended to be quite small. This is the card front for one of them, so that they would fit with their little envelope on the inside of this little carrying pouch, and that you could slide them in your car or in your purse. And as you came across someone where you might want to leave a card, you would have this right with you to pass a little cheer on to people as you came across them. And as you know, I only make, well, I have a tendency, I don't only make, but I have a tendency to turn whatever they give me into full-size cards, and that's what I've done for you today here. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, and let's take a look here. This made 4 little cards here. It looks like a sandy beach and a little bit of water, and a sand dollar, and a sentiment, and a little bit of twine and a leaf. And this one has kind of looking like almost greenery and then sky, or greenery and water, little palm trees, and they make, like I said, 16 cards. Well, the first thing I did was cut all the envelopes apart. I cut down the edges of them here, and then I cut out the largest part of the paper that they will give me here. Sometimes they have a design on them. These are plain, but I used them anyway. These really are very cute. And so let me show you what I did with them. Now, I made quite a few, so we can't go over each one, but I can sure show you what I did. This one, I used a piece of Calypso coral. Let me show you a couple of things here. This is the stamp set, and it has a starfish and a sand dollar, and it's got a little piece of coral here in a stamp form, and then it's got sentiments say, "My day is better because of you." This one says, "Just a little smile." This one says, "Thank you, it means so much. You are amazing." And this one says, I've got it on there backwards so I can't read it. It says, "You made my day special." And so it's a cute little stamp set, got lots of little pieces in it. And so on this one, what I did, let me show you here. This is how the coral pieces that come in the kit come mounted. There's 4 of them to a page here, and you punch them out. And what I did was I colored them while they were in their little carrier here. And so I colored these in Calypso Coral, and then I used the little piece that was left here as a stencil. And on this one, I'll bring it up so you can see it, I used this stamp here in the kit that has almost a coral looking or water looking kind of thing, and I stamped it off several times because I wanted just a faint image. And then I used this little piece here as a stencil to put a little background for some texture on this piece of coral. Then I used 3 of the pieces of coral from this little set here, and I applied them here. Then there is this piece that comes in the kit, and it is like a circle of coral that is in a circular shape. And on this one, I just put some glue on the back, and I put this one in place here and just cut it off. So with this one, I could make a couple of cards by doing that same kind of thing. And you could do this in the Coastal Cabana as well as the Old Olive that are kind of the colors. Let me make sure I'm right on those colors here. Coastal Cabana, Crumb Cake, and Old Olive. The Stampin' Spot on this one was Coastal Cabana. Because it was coral, I just used coral. I thought that was appropriate here. And so on this one, I put You Made My Day Special, and I put a couple of the sand dollar and the starfish down here. And I haven't gotten around to it, but on the inside I was planning on stamping a couple of pieces of coral in this Calypso coral color. I added a few sequins from our Everyday Sequin mix here, and I used the white on this one because I thought that was appropriate, because I think I used, no, I didn't quite use all of them, but mostly I used white bases with a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white layering on top. And the designs this time that I've used are really very simple. I decided to go for simplicity on these. So here's one that I used. Now this was meant to be one of the card fronts. So what I did was I cut that one off, and then I backed it on a piece of Coastal Cabana here. Let me tell you what the size of that piece is. That piece is 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. And so what I did was I left the same basic border around this little piece, and then I alternated the sand dollars and the starfish across the front here, and I think it makes a very pretty little note card. And these are glittered, so they're very pretty. And then this is one of the cutouts that you get, the laser cut pieces here. You get 2 pages of these leaves, and so I just framed it on 2 sides with that. Very simple again, and just a white border on the inside. And there's so many of these leaves. I think what I'll do on this one is put a couple leaves and maybe a sand dollar on the inside, because there's also tons of these little sand dollars and the starfish that are glittered that came in this kit. Tons of material in this kit, just tons. And then so that one, because it was so glittery, I decided not to add any other sparkle to that one. All right, this next card, again, a very simple design. This piece of coral, these are cut, are made out of vellum, and it was just a little under 2 1/4. So I cut a 2 1/4 inch circle out of Coastal Cabana and just created a medallion with it. And then on this I used the Iridescent sequins from the Everyday Sequins. And this kit came with 2 pages of labels. And one set of labels, these are all laser cut. One set of labels is plain white, and this set of labels has almost like that new stamp set we got that has kind of a birch. It's got kind of a wood grain, very pale, light wood grain, like you would find in a tropical kind of area. Kind of a shabby white where some of it has worn off. And so you get 2 pages of those, and again 2 pages of the leaves. Now what I did for this is I took a piece of Whisper White and I used the starfish, the sand dollar, and the coral, and I just stamped in the Coastal Cabana at various lengths and strengths here to create like a little DSP sheet. And then I cut a couple of strips off of this at 1/2 inch and then used the Iridescent sequins, and I took a part of an envelope here and cut out this little piece of Coastal Cabana to back my sentiment, and I did a little bit of sponging around the edge here, and again left it very simple. And on the inside I put another 1/2 inch strip of this little paper that I made here. And I think you could do that in coral, you could back this in coral, you could do this in crumb cake and back it in crumb cake. I think there's quite a bit you could do with this stamp set. So that was card number 3 here. The next one I did use the Coastal Cabana, not the Coastal Cabana, the Calypso coral, and I just sponged the circle here, and then I went back in, I just put glue on the back of it, put it on my card front here, and then I sponged again over the top of it so that I got some of that Calypso coral going through the bottom. Then I used some of the sequins, and the sequin mixes that I used is I used the Iridescent sequin assortment, and then I used a bunch of sequins from our Everyday Sequin mix. I used these white ones on one of the cards, and I used the iridescent ones on some of the cards. And then I also used some sequins from our new Woven Threads sequin assortment. And this one is kind of fun. It's got a terracotta sequin in here, and that's the one I used on here. I thought it matched the inked up piece the most, and I took a little piece of envelope and cut that down, put Just a Smile on here, and then added a little piece of coral. I just stamped a few pieces of coral in the Calypso, not in the Coastal Cabana on the inside, and made that one. And again, just a few sequins on there just to perk up the sparkle on that. Although this one did have the glittered pieces on here, I thought it added some to just add those sequins. Then the next one I made, I took one of the little palm trees here. What you get is this, and you get a palm tree here or two that are connected to a little piece of sand, and then you get just the individual palm trees here. And I used one of those individual palm trees, some of the leaves, and some of the glitter pieces here to create my little scene over here. Then this is a piece of the green envelope, and I put one of those circles on here. And then I put the iridescent sequins here, a starfish over here, and a You Made My Day special stamp here on this one. And again, you could do that with the Coastal Cabana. You could do it with the Calypso Coral. There's lots and lots going on here. All right, this one is card number 5. And this is that piece I was showing you here that cuts out of here. And there's a second tree. Let me show you one that's got a second tree here that just kind of comes over to the end. So for this one, I took that tree off, and this is one of the card fronts. So I took the card front and sent it in the center of my piece of Coastal Cabana here. It looks so much like Pool Party, I keep going there. And then I used this card front, and then I raised my palm trees here and added some of those elements and a few fronds over here. Thank you, it means so much. And on the inside of this one, I might put a sand dollar and maybe a little piece of coral or something like that. And so there's a thank you card. Okay, this one is the next one, and again, it uses that same piece of card front here. And what I did was I put my palm trees here that were attached like on a piece of sand, and then I put a piece of Coastal Cabana behind all of it, so that it looked like sand, water, and sky. And then I took one of the individual palm trees and put it on here. And then I took one of these circles with the coral and I cut it in half and attached to the back here at the top and the bottom, just to add some additional decoration. This one is a note card, and I just put one of the extra trees on the inside. And then I used from the Iridescent sequin mix here, just some of the green sequins as they come across the card here. So that one is card number 6 or 7, I guess it is. And so this was the last one. And on the outside of the little envelopes, and let me grab one of the envelopes, there is this material here which looks like the distressed wood. Also, one of the card fronts has this same pattern on it in kind of a stressed looking wood. And so what I did, let me show you that one. That one is this one here. And so I cut that off, and then I cut this little brown piece off the end so that I had kind of a narrow piece, and I put it across my little piece of Coastal Cabana here, and I butted another one up against it and then put this tree right on the seam so it looks like a continuous piece of paper there. So this is what this looks like here when in the laser cuts for the palm tree. And then in this case I cut off the sand because I had this background here, and again I put a little sand dollar down here and some of the little, well, I guess they're palm fronds, I don't know. And then I'd use some of the iridescent sequins here in the greenish color that were in the iridescent set. So this was my card number 8. Now, this was a challenge for me because I've always lived my whole life in Colorado, where we don't have a lot of seashore near us. So again, they're very simple designs, but I think they came out very pretty. And I love the idea of some of them being raised and some of them being flat, and the palm trees, fronds, and I love the little glittered pieces here. So this is what I did with my paper pumpkin for June, and I hope you get some inspiration. Now, again, you could do any one of these with a green background, a coastal Cabana background, or a Calypso coral background, and kind of mix and match what you put on your cards. I used the palm fronds a lot. I used the coral a bit. I used the trees. This one is attached to the sand, and it has the partial tree and the full tree. On this one I cut off the sand, and on this one I cut off this little tree on the end here. So there's I think quite a bit that you can do with this, and so that's it for me today. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. Now, I understand that the July paper pumpkin is a nautical theme, and it's going to coordinate with several of our Stampin' Up! Stamp sets. So it will coordinate with the Garden Lane, with the Sail Away stamp set, and there's one other one, and right now I'm not remembering it, but they're going to coordinate with 3 different stamp sets. And so and I don't know what the projects are going to be, but you know me, I'll be making full-size cards out of mine. And you can subscribe to Paper Pumpkin a month at a time, or 3 months in a series, 6 months, or for the whole year. And you can subscribe on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. That's the place to shop with me. You can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. And let's see, my prize for the month of July is one of the big bundles out of the catalog, and you get to pick which one it is. And all it takes is putting an order with me on my Stampin' Up! Site. So again, thanks for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and tips. Bye.